So at the 2015 Amelia Concours d'Elegance, the Porsche 914 was one of the featured models, which was a change of pace, I guess, for Amelia Island, and made the 914 community very happy that finally this somewhat unloved Porsche at times was recognized. And of course, you had the 4-cylinder, you had the 6-cylinder variations, and there's some stock models here. The ones that are always interesting to look at are the ones that have been modified to some degree. We're here with John Lovejoy, who has taken, I guess, his interpretation of what the 914 should have been or would have evolved into, and fixed the little things. But the car looks very stock from the outside, but it's, I think, very far from stock once you start delving into it. So, John, let's start from the front, and let's start with what base model is this?
So this is a 1970 914 6-cylinder, and this car was at one time a race car. And when I purchased it, I sort of had a vision of how I wanted the car to be. And so over the last 10, 11 years, I've been trying to create that vision.
So we start off with the front. What's different? What did we change right from the front from the beginning?
So the first thing we did is we added the steel GT flares, and we wanted them to look really exact. We got as many pictures from original cars that were done for racing. We looked at the Brumos Museum cars and tried to emulate that. We took the front bumper off. I decided to go with the steel bumper as opposed to the fiberglass replacements. We cut it, re-welded it to match it to the GT Valence, and then re-chromed it. And then we made the center grille that goes over the oil cooler intake there. On either side, it has driving lights. And then we replaced all of the rubber. You'll see on top of the bumper, the rubber fender there actually came from Automobile Atlanta, some new old stock they had that was actually made for, I understand, the Scandinavian cars, which were the only ones that had washers, headlight washers available for them, that we deleted that option. The interior, I decided to clean it up and created a cover that covers up your windshield wiper bottle and all of the gas tank, all the other electronics underneath normally that you would see in a stock 914, and then added the stereo system. Being a bit of a stereophile, I wanted a really nice stereo system, so we added the stereo system. Because of the oil cooler system, we had to go with the inflatable spare tire. I also deleted the air intake and decided to put air conditioning on it to help out in hotter driving times. So the factory air box has been converted to an evaporator. And I wanted to stay with the factory dimensions so we didn't have to cut any of the metal in the body if possible. So underneath the spare tire sits not only the oil cooler, but also a condenser with a fan to help for the AC system as well. And then in the interior here, you'll see the gentleman who did the body work, Alex Kimmel, was also a master with woodwork. And so he did a lot of woodwork under here and created some compartments for storage as well, which you can see here, and allow you access to the equipment in there, as well as the dryer for the AC system and the oil lines for the front oil cooler.
I also noticed that going for the GT look, you had the external fuel filler, which for those who aren't familiar with 914s, you always get a lot of attention at gas stations when you have to lift up your front hood to put gas in, and of course people think you're putting the gas directly into the engine. Does it make it that much easier to fill up now?
Oh yes, absolutely. That is definitely a unique feature on the car. It has a magnetic lock and then opens up, makes it much more like a modern car for filling up. We did want to add that GT look to it. We also badged the car on the front to give it that special Porsche look. Another simple little things we did to clean it up on the front here, we actually turned the motor and the windshield wipers so that the windshield wipers now park on the passenger side. The stock one's parked on the driver's side. I figure I don't drive it in the rain a lot anyways, so I just assume get all obstructions out of my way. The antenna, we sort of Frenched that and countersunk it in to make it look really clean and give it nice, clean lines as well.
Now, what I like about this car is that it's modified, but it's done so tastefully that it looks like something that the factory might have done for a special. They had exclusive or special wishes for the 914. So tell us a little bit about the interior, what you changed.
Well, that was my goal. I wanted the car to look like something that might have come out of the factory specials. So in the interior, I decided to copy Peter Gregg's pleating from his 916 that is up at Automobile Atlanta. Except I have a fondness for the houndstooth pattern, so instead of the Porsche pattern he has, mine has houndstooth in it instead. I also really enjoy the stereo system, but I wanted to do it in a clean, tasteful way. So I had a custom center console made between the back seats as well as in the front to help house that stereo system. Because we increased the horsepower, we went to a 3.2 Carrera engine. The Motronics to control that were placed behind the passenger seat. There's a Kevlar mesh, and behind that we added all the electronics. It was an original 6, but and as you know, in the original 6s, the passenger seat was fixed, so we did upgrade that to the later Model 4 style with an adjustable seat. We also took out the dash and changed it from the 70 dash to a 73 dash and plugged the vents on the sides directly into the AC unit. So they blow, the AC can be directed to blow either onto the windscreen, which is great down here with the humidity, or straight out the side vents on the 73 style dash. Other little changes inside also include the optional storage compartment between the two seats, which we put in as well. And then underneath the carpet, what you can't see is the reinforcement. Because of the extra horsepower, I did want to reinforce the chassis, but I didn't want to put in a full roll bar. So both sides on the longitudinals are welded with extra supports, and there's also a cross support that goes below the firewall behind both seats underneath the carpeting as well. Gives it a little bit more rigidity to the car.
One of the things that, for those who aren't familiar with 914s, a quick way to tell a 914.6 from a 914.4 is the key location, because the 4 cylinders, of course, have it on the right-hand side, and the 6s have it where the 911s had it on the left-hand side. And this, I see a lot of custom work done. Did you do it yourself? Did you farm it out?
So the custom stereo work was done by a stereo shop up in Maryland, primarily. I also had the seats sent out and had them done by an upholsterer in Maryland as well. I'd like to tinker with the mechanicals and tinker with a little bit of the bodywork, but Alex Kimmel, who was in Jacksonville, Florida, did all of the real bodywork and the paint on the car.
And what color silver is this?
This is our rendition of GT Silver. I really like the GT Carrera Silver color. It's just a shade or two lighter than the factory color, but it was a very close approximation.
And so we look at the engine. You stuck with the fuel injection, like you showed us the electronics in there. Is it a fairly stock? Even the stock 3.2 is a lot of power for a 914.
It is. I haven't done really much with it. I've been told by the person I purchased it, it was a European 3.2. We took this motor out of that car and the front end and bolted in the front end. It's got Carrera brakes in the front and the stock 914 brakes in the rear. It also has 17-inch wheels, which came from Zuffenhausen in North Carolina. Otherwise, we really haven't done much more other than to take off the factory air filtration system and put on a K&N system, mainly for fitting purposes in the engine compartment.
So, as a driver, is this a very drivable car? I know you have the air conditioning because you live in Florida, so I guess it works really well. But as a driver, is this something you can comfortably drive around?
Absolutely. This car is so much fun to drive. It easily keeps up with all of the modern cars on the road. It's got great acceleration. Handling is fantastic. I really enjoy driving this, and I try to get out and drive it on a weekly basis.
Well, there you go. One man's interpretation of what the 914 should have been if it went to the Special Wishes Department. And judging from the crowd that's been seeing this car today, I think he's gone the right way.